let's talk about the list. And when the list broke, of course, he's putting out the names of players to the New York Jets, guys that he wants to play with. And I'm like, oh, okay, we've seen this before. We've seen this side of Aaron Rodgers give lists of players, of course, specifically in Green Bay. That's where he's been his entire career. We've seen it with a Randall Cobb. We've seen it with just a couple of receivers out here, players out here that Aaron Rodgers has requested. And now, before he even suits up in the green, before he's even officially number 12, actually on paper, past the comments for being a New York Jet, he's already deciding, hey, I want these guys to come play with me. So let's get all the way into it and kind of what Aaron Rodgers said here, and the list rather. So he named OBJ, which, of course, who wouldn't want OBJ? We saw what he did his first 4 years in the league, and I know he's got a couple of ACL tears, so that's very scary, no question. But OBJ, I think, is still a viable wide receiver 2 or even wide receiver 3 on some teams. So I'm not going to knock him for the OBJ. He named Allen Lazard as well, who did sign a 4-year, $44 million deal with the Jets already, and he is literally anticipating Aaron Rodgers' arrival. So I'm not going to get mad about Lazard. You know, he's a guy, he's been there, or not a guy. He's a player that's been there for a few years in Green Bay, a few seasons, growing that chemistry with A-Rod, and it felt like he was a real, not focal point of that offense, but he was a nice wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, to jump in there and catch some passes from A-Rod. Now, here's where I start to have the issues with this list. Marcedes Lewis, I think is 38 or 39 years old. Excuse me, I have it here. 38-year-old, low-producing blocking tight end. What's the point in Marcedes Lewis, honestly? And then he names Randall Cobb. And I'm not going to bore you guys with Randall Cobb's numbers. Just know Aaron Rodgers, and for Jets fans that are watching, and for everyone that's curious, this isn't 2014 or 2015 anymore. And Randall Cobb's out here with 1,300 yards, close to 100 catches, a few touchdowns. And I get this. You can tell this is really tough for Aaron Rodgers. He went into the darkness hearing Green Bay say, take as long as you need. We'd love for you to retire a Packer. We'd love to have you back. And then he comes out of the darkness, or at least something changed. He doesn't know what shifted in the darkness, but he comes out of the darkness and he hears Green Bay is trying to move him. He lives on and is from the West Coast, and now he's going to be the furthest place from that in New York to finish out his NFL career. And it would be crazy if Aaron Rodgers actually retired a Jet. I would like to think that the Packers could maybe mend some things with him. Like, we're talking about a Bart Starr franchise. We're talking about a Brett Favre franchise. And yes, Aaron Rodgers said it himself, and fans will tell you, Aaron Rodgers could argue he is the best quarterback to ever be a Green Bay Packer and to ever sling a football for the home team in Lambeau Field. No question about that. And that's why he wants these veterans that he's played with, Marcedes Lewis, obviously Randall Cobb, obviously Allen Lazard. And for the clarification for this on Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not going to be here to jump all over this, but, Aaron Rodgers' clarification was, he says he only talked glowingly about the teammates that he loved, but he didn't demand anything. Quote, I didn't walk up and hand them a paper saying, sign these folks. No, that's not what happened. Specific quote from Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show. So having said all that, I'm not here to really gripe about the list, but the writing's on the wall with Aaron Rodgers. It definitely means something. And the list is a red flag for me. Again, we saw Rodgers many times in his career request players to come play with him in Green Bay, Randall Cobb being the latest one, who was, of course, named here again. And we forget when Aaron Rodgers wanted the GM fired. And I feel like I'm maybe one of the only people out there that's like, the Jets should not walk away from Aaron Rodgers. They should run. The New York Jets have worked so hard to get to this point, going through the Zach Wilson craziness, which, crazy enough, he could still have a chance being mentored by Aaron Rodgers if Rodgers even goes and sticks it out for a sustainable amount of time. You take a risk on Robert Saleh coming over from San Francisco. Now he's your rookie coach. Now he's your second-year coach. Now he's your third-year coach. You've got young guys in Sauce Gardner. You've got Breece Hall. You got Garrett Wilson. To know that the Jets have had some great drafts outside of the Zach Wilson pick and coaching hires lately, they have worked way too hard to get here. You hear NFL players talk about the locker room, what they're going to miss the most. It's the locker room. It's the camaraderie. It's the brotherhood that they have actually built inside that room. And me as a podcaster, us as fans, us watching the league, unless you are the 1% of the 1% that makes it to the NFL, We're never going to know what that locker room feeling feels like. Want to check in on the chat here because I see y'all popping in. Rodgers pulling a LeBron. That's hilarious. I don't know, man. I mean, LeBron went to, quite a few places, so I'm not going to necessarily give that comp. Audio and visuals are good. Appreciate it, bro. Aaron's a drama queen as usual. It's funny how you said audio and visuals are good because I feel like Aaron Rodgers was having a lot of audio and visuals inside the darkness retreat, apparently with the ayahuasca that he was having some fun with. I'm not here to debate that. It's just funny how you put that in the chat. Appreciate Wesley Davis. Go ahead and put you up on the screen here. All love, bro. And I appreciate you as well, Michael Darby. Again, you guys can always get in the chat, but this list is such a red flag to me. This is a young, inexperienced team. This is a young, inexperienced team outside of Robert Saleh. Again, going through the Zach Wilson times, you've got Breece Hall, who's a baby. You've got Sauce Gardner, who's a baby. You've got Garrett Wilson, who's a baby. I'm not saying these guys aren't capable, and I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers can't do big things with this team and with this personnel. But again, like I said in my last video or a few videos ago where I was like, would the Jets actually picking up Aaron Rodgers be worth it? Would it be good for the Jets? Would it be good for Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers has shied away from rookies and people who make mistakes in games, some of the newcomers to a team. I mean, we saw Christian Watson, we saw Romeo Doubs, just of recent memory. What about when Garrett Wilson drops a pass? What about when Breece Hall accidentally fumbles or mishandles a handoff and he doesn't convert potentially on a fourth down? We've seen Aaron's ego. We've seen Aaron's attitude create major issues before in Green Bay. Again, do we forget that Aaron Rodgers was demanding Brian Gutekunst to be fired? And I apologize for my voice. It's been absolutely horrible these last few days, but I was trying to preserve it for the show tonight. I know I sound like I'm struggling a little bit. If not, just outed myself. It's all good. But let's not forget that Aaron Rodgers literally wanted the GM fired. Don't walk away, Jets. Run. Genuinely run. Because here's the thing, right? I see Jets fans, it feels great. Here comes Aaron Rodgers. This will be the best quarterback by far in our history. Like, yes, we know Brett Favre and obviously Mark Sanchez went through there. I'm not here to get into the New York Jets quarterback GOAT debate. But my main point is the Jets have worked so hard to get to this point. The locker room, the players, the coach. And I get it. They want to complete it with the quarterback. They feel like this piece here is the final piece to take them to the top. Newsflash, New York, Aaron Rodgers only has 2 years. He's done this the last few seasons in Green Bay, and I'm not saying New York is going to be like Green Bay. But I think a lot of us on here could argue that Green Bay has ran better than New York. And so when Aaron Rodgers now goes to an opposite coast, to a completely young team, to players he's never played with before, maybe even against before, what if he doesn't get those signings? What if he's pitching a fit and bitching already because it's early in the season and rookies are making mistakes? I don't believe that the Jets should seriously pursue Aaron Rodgers like this. I get it. It's, we've seen it with Stafford. We've seen it with Tom Brady. They attempted it with Russell Wilson. But this is just a completely different situation here. And to know that the Jets are, they're bought in. They're ready. They're waiting for A-Rod, right? But I, as a Jets fan, I'm going to say right now, you're only going to get probably one good year out of Aaron Rodgers, depending on how he played the season for us, how he's going to predicate, how he's walking into next year. We're going to get into the comments. The man said he was 90% retired. 90% retired. If you're 90% anything in your life, that means you're pretty close to doing it. So it would be a stretch and probably the biggest ask to have Aaron Rodgers play 2 years. Just seems like a lot for me.